Hello, my name is Bill Gumphries. I'm a Bigfoot hunter. First time I ever remember seeing the elusive Bigfoot was no more than a lad of 10 or 11 years old. Was visiting Paul out there in the mountains of North Georgia, right there where the Tennessee line crosses. I would say not too awfully far from the Blue Ridge Mountains. Had wandered out in the woods there, just taking a stroll. When over by the creek, off down the holler there with the creek rim, I saw it. Wasn't your typical one though, I tell you. It was much smaller. It was much smaller than I anticipated Bigfoot being. Of course, probably was an infant, toddler version of Bigfoot. It was over by a branch, over by the creek, and I remember it was black in color. It was a black colored Bigfoot. Now it does get cold in the mountains there of North Georgia, where I was at visiting Paul, and I would suspect that the darker colors draw the heat in and keep the big feet warm during the winter. But it was over there, and now I do remember the black. It wasn't like a fur. It was more like feathered. It was like feathers covered in black feathers, and had a beak. I'm gonna say an off-white, maybe even yellow beak. And I remember it walked on 2 feet, kind of like made like claws or something. Walked on 2 feet, and it had wings. Didn't have arms. It had like wings, and it was the strangest thing I'd ever saw. And definitely not your typical Bigfoot, but I do remember the sound it made. Now I don't know if it was a mating call. I don't know if it was a hey, I see you up there on the ridge kind of call. I really don't know what the call meant, and I do remember how it sounded though, and it sounded it was kind of like this here. Call, 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 call. Was a very distinct sound. This black feathered, yellow-beaked, 2-footed, winged, cawing Bigfoot that I saw in the mountains of North Georgia. Now, I have seen bigger big feet. I remember I was in the mountains of Smoky Mountains, Tennessee, and I saw a Bigfoot, and I would say this one was probably between 175 and 177 pounds. Had antlers on its head, something like this, and it was brown in color, which is a little strange to me because you know, the one I saw in Georgia was black, and maybe it gets a little colder in the mountains of Tennessee than in the mountains of Georgia, but it was brown. It was not black. This one particular Bigfoot was not black. It was brown, and I remember it just had a little tail, and when that tail would raise up, the underside of that tail was white. It was a very peculiar Bigfoot. But, you know, having seen Bigfoot as many times as I have, you know, I will go on record saying I have seen Bigfoot about 46,000 times this year. Well, maybe I'll say 46,000 this year and last year combined. And you know, you really learn your stuff when you've had as many sightings as I've had, and different types of big feet that I've encountered. So we'll be doing more of these, talking about instances where I ran across Bigfoot. Maybe even go out in the woods and try to find a Bigfoot.